Hey, one, two, 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 two. Ha, hey, one, two, two. Mic check, one, two. Camera test, one, one, two. One, one, two. Hey, hey, one, two, two. Camera test, one, one, two. Camera audio, one, two. If you have it on mic level, but we good. Ch, 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 ch. Hey, hey, one, two. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hey, hey. Check. Good? All right. All cameras good? One, two. Hey, hey, hey. One, two. All right. Hey, hey. Check one, two. Final test. Hey, hey. Good to go? All right. One more. Hey, hey. Check, check. Check, check. One, two. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. One, one, two. All right. just one video?
One video. And there's like a live presentation, but it's just
So like extended desktop?
yes.
Do you use any software or do you just do all CAD or whatever?
Yeah, just VLC.
Right, alright. Also do you like music and then the video?
Yeah, the videos. So it'll be all of these, and then
Well, I guess it's gonna be really too
well, yeah, all of
like 'cause we are already
right.
we're already 5 minutes, 6, 7 minutes.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Right. The whole thing is like more or less an hour and a half, 2 hours.
you're gonna have to hear it's static, really small part.
Right. So you see, they should have because they didn't do this on the board. They should have done it. Yeah. A good thing I have this guy so we can do Q&A. So change the left logo. Inside only. So that one is gonna stay, right?
Yeah, this is just
Test, test. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being patient. We are going to get started. So I've got Susan Sarandon, Michael Haggard, Manuel Oliver, Patricia Oliver, Emma Gonzalez, Peter Staley, and John Rosenthal.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Haggard, and I'm a board member of the National Center for Victims of Crime, which is an affiliate of the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. But more importantly, I had the privilege to be the attorney for Patricia and Manuel Oliver, and most importantly, Joaquin. Gun violence, mass shootings, and school shootings are the epidemic of our time in the United States of America. Today, millions of parents sent their children to school with little bags with Hershey Kisses and different things to give to their classmates. And you have to ask yourself, were they safer a year removed from this tragedy? And as Manuel has said to the national and international media the last couple of days, the only way to look at this is from your own view, concerning your own child, and looking in their eyes and asking if we're doing enough. Our kids, our future is at stake. Columbine, Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech, Pulse, Las Vegas, and Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Words, tragedies that roll way too easy off of the lips of people today. In the last 10 years, there have been 290 school shootings in the United States of America. There have been 27 in the rest of the world. We make up 5% of the world's population and 90% of its gun violence. But change is coming. You'll hear about the achievements that Change the Ref has done in the last year. You know the families. You know the Olivers. You know all 17. You've learned of them and their stories and the difference that they're making. You've heard about this movement, and maybe most importantly, maybe the difference is the Parkland kids and the march for your lives, because that's who we're talking about. Change is coming. We're in the greatest city in the world, and we're in the greatest country in the world, and it's time for this country to step up and meet this problem. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Susan Sarandon, and through some quirk of fate, I've become very media connected in my job, and I take great pride in being able to shine a little light or amplify voices of people who have experience and knowledge and in a position to educate and to share their experiences, who normally wouldn't be able to be heard. So I'm also a cross-pollinator, and I try to put people in touch with other people that can help them be heard or organize or film whatever needs to be done. And I'm very honored to be able to be connected to the Parkland kids and these families, to Manny and to all the people that have stepped in to help, because I do believe that we are moving in the right direction. And I'm so happy that in a short year so much has been done. And we're here today to make it clear that even more is going to be done with the help of the media and with all of you in your neighborhoods. That's it.
Hi, my name's John Rosenthal. I'm a business person, gun owner, and co-founder of Stop Handgun Violence in Massachusetts. Starting in 1994, we started to change the conversation that you don't have to ban guns in order to prevent gun violence. We started to change laws. In 98, 2004, 2014, 2018, we passed laws And Massachusetts now has the lowest gun death rate of any state. We're an urban industrial state with gun owners and non-gun owners, Democrats and Republicans. We changed the conversation, we changed the laws, and we have the lowest gun death rate in the nation. We have proven the NRA's worst nightmare. Gun laws save lives, and you don't have to ban guns in order to prevent most gun violence. What we have done is we've treated firearms just like other inherently dangerous products, for instance, an automobile. So we have an age requirement. We have renewable licensing. We have a ban on military-style weapons, including copycat weapons like the Smith & Wesson made in Massachusetts AR-15 used at Parkland, used at Aurora, used at San Bernardino. And the irony of ironies is because of the Massachusetts assault weapon ban, including large-capacity ammunition magazines, the weapon used at Parkland can't even be sold in Massachusetts. So we've become a national model for reducing injuries and deaths from guns without banning most guns. It's a replicable model, and we've done it on a bipartisan basis. This is a choice. We have more gun violence combined than the rest of the world combined. And it's because our members of Congress and many state legislatures have chosen blood money campaign contributions over human life. And since we built the biggest billboard in America to help change the conversation in Massachusetts, and it was on the Massachusetts Turnpike, we built it in 1994, over 850,000 Americans have died from largely preventable gun violence. So we've proven that gun laws work. We've proven we can dramatically reduce gun deaths and injuries by 40% since 1994. But today, another 100 Americans will die. Today, 250 Americans will be shot. In 30 minutes, another kid will be shot. In 3 hours, another kid would die because Congress has no backbone. Since Parkland, we've seen a major change. 20 babies at Sandy Hook couldn't even get 60 votes for a background check. Since Parkland, because of the voices in the movement of young people in this country, which there is a history of movements working to make change in America. And the Parkland March for Our Lives movement and Change the Ref movement is changing minds, and it's changing Congress. It's the first time since I've been involved in 1994 and 850,000 dead ago that we have seen people vote and win supporting gun violence prevention versus run and support gun rights. So we are on our way, and it's all about 2020, and it's all about sustaining the March for Our Lives movement, and Change the Ref is right out front doing it.
Hi, my name is Peter Staley. I'm a long-term AIDS activist and LGBT rights activist. Might be wondering what I'm doing up here. Manny wanted to really make a statement today about how Change the Ref and March for Our Lives and this movement is emotionally connected to all the great social activist movements in American history that were successful and driven by an overwhelming determination and passion to make the world a better place and to save lives. I was part of a movement that launched in 1987 called ACT UP that was in response to an epidemic happening in our country that was being ignored. Sounds familiar to many of the activists on this stage. Where every year, more and more lives were being lost, and the country seemed indifferent, and Washington and our politicians seemed indifferent. So ACT UP had our moment in D.C. You'll remember, Susan will remember, because she showed up at an ACT UP meeting in New York a week before, as we were planning this huge demonstration in D.C. in October of '88, where we shut down the Food and Drug Administration for a day, and we were the lead story on all the networks. And that was our pivotal moment. That's when the conversation started to change. But unfortunately, even though we went on to win many victories against the FDA and the NIH and the pharmaceutical companies, and we got Reagan to appropriate more money, the death count just kept rising, and we had to plow through that pessimism and keep fighting and fighting. And that's what I see in Emma and in Manny and in Patricia, is this commitment to use their grief, to know that they are going to win this in the end, to know that they have already created that pivot point against the NRA, and that they will win this in the day, in time, and that we will lower the death count in this country dramatically at some point in the years ahead. I feel that conviction from them, and they're part of that larger history. Thank you.
I'm Patricia Oliver. I'm Joaquin's Oliver mom. Well, as everybody knows, today is our first year that we are not with Joaquin. Since that happened to us a year ago, we decided to do something to keep Joaquin's memory alive. We didn't know in which way because it was so recent, everything that when it happened. But we knew that we had to do something in order to finish what is being out of control, which is the gun violence. So since then, we were thinking we just created Change the Ref. Change the Ref is our organization, which means Change the Referee, and it's inspired by Joaquin. Joaquin used to be a basketball player, and he used to be in these games. His dad was his coach. And in this last season that he was playing when he was senior, he was having complaints coming from the referee. And he was saying, okay, if this is going to keep happening, I don't see me winning a game because it seems that he has certain interests that it doesn't apply to us, applies to others. So since that reflection that he had in that moment and bringing that to what is now going on, we decided that was a good way to name our organization and, keep the memory alive and just give it the meaning, what it really means, which is change these politicians or these people that is not aligned in what we are looking for, which is gun control. It's being a process to be a mom and to be an activist that is being growing in my mind every single day. Every single day I've been getting more courage to be out there and speaking. I wasn't able to be doing this, what I'm doing right now, a year ago. Impossible. I was always hiding. I was underneath. And, well, there's some people that is very easy for them to talk out loud, as some others know, but I think that I can learn. And since then, I think this is being another inspiration brought by Joaquin, and I will keep my best to keep every woman, mom, aligned with us in our movement because we need to be out loud. And I refer this to all of the women that are here. They're students, they are my kids. All the kids are my kids. I adopted it. I need you to know that. I adopted my dear and adorable Emma. There is my dear Diego, my daughter from another mom, my son from another mom. So I have tons of kids around, and I have you, all the women that are looking at me right now. Just want to say one more time that, life is not easy, and we all know that. And when you are having this situation that we have, we need to go far, far away, put that pain on hold sometimes, and do what is right, because we need to change this. We have to finish this. We have the first results. We have a preview, what we did when we accomplished in the midterms, and I think that we are able, by far, to accomplish what we're looking for in 2020. But we have to be together in that. So thank you.
She will answer that as a question later.
We'll do that after. Thank you. Go ahead, Emma.
I'm too short. I'm sorry. I dyed my hair teal for Carmen, and as you can see, it's kind of bad. But I know that she would laugh at it, so I don't really care. I'm also wearing today the shoes that I was wearing on Valentine's Day last year. I painstakingly painted them for hours the night before because I thought they looked too dark and too worn out, and that if I found the right color, then I could make them look fresh and clean. And then I had to go to a funeral a couple of days later, and I didn't really have any shoes appropriate for the occasion. Valentine's Day is a day of love and chocolate and consumerism and pink and red stuff. Growing up, I never really cared about Valentine's Day. It was just another holiday on the cycle of the calendar, the one that comes after New Year's and before the 4th of July. And now pretty much everybody in our community hates those three holidays. And you'd think that in a town ravaged by the after effects of a mass shooting, people wouldn't shoot off fireworks in the week of the 4th of July or New Year's, but they do. A lot of people either don't know about or forget about the trauma of gun violence, and that it doesn't only resurface on the anniversary of the event. Every day I feel the same. Every day my friends feel the same. Every day it feels like the shooting is happening again, or happened yesterday, or will happen tomorrow. Some days are better than others, of course, but every time there's another mass shooting somewhere else, or any instance of gun violence anywhere, I hug my roommate a little tighter when I see her. And going to class sounds like a joke. I don't even go to Douglas anymore. I'm at college. Think about the kids who have to go to classes every single day, classes they know that their friends would have taken with them. And they have to go to school every day and look at the building where their friends were murdered because it's still there. The people who are affected by everyday gun violence are impacted just like the Douglas community has been, and it's important to remember that. People affected by everyday gun violence have to walk by the street corner where their best friend, their brother, their mother, their nephew, where they themselves were shot, and they're expected, just like we are, to go to school, to totter along like a good little student, get good grades, and help take care of the family, and life goes on as if we all haven't just watched a loved one die and get put in the grave. That trauma, once inflicted, doesn't leave. It most certainly can be treated, but it doesn't go away on its own. For me and most of my friends, we fight our trauma by fighting against gun violence and the system that perpetrates it. Because the fact is that around 100 people each day die by the hand of a gun, and hundreds more are injured. And it only hurts us more and more and further pushes us into a dark place. I like to think of the sunken place from Get Out. The whole point of what I'm saying here is that gun violence isn't just going to stop until there's a force fighting harder against it. I said before, trauma doesn't go away, but I say now, the source of that trauma can and will go away with our help. Until one of us or all of us stand up and say that I can't do this anymore. I can't sit by and watch the news treat these shootings like acts of God. Gun violence is preventable, and I'm going to do something to prevent it. Until that happens, nothing will change. And through that fight, we are going to work side by side with organizations like Change the Ref and with the people that we love to honor the people we've lost and the people who've battled long and hard to stay with us. Our fight is against that which brought us here, gun violence, as well as the organizations that financially profit off of it, like the NRA. We've not forgotten what, or should I say who, brought us to the center of the country's attention, and we never will. We live with the trauma that comes with such a violent act, but we also live with the memories and the photos of those who should be with us today, and we further their existence by sharing those stories. And with that, I would like to wrap up with a couple of little stories about Carmen Chentrup. We rode the bus together, and we had a class together as juniors, and we always did our projects in that class together. We had to do a video for one of those projects, talking about how to properly research something, and whatever it was, we made it look like a cooking show. And Carmen brought in a floppy hat and used a really bad Southern accent. And her part was supposed to talk about how you put the research in the paper or something, and she had like a container of gravy and put it on a biscuit, but the gravy was really cold and congealed, and when she turned it over, it just fell onto the biscuit. And I still have that video. It's on like some file on my old computer. She made the a cappella club at Douglas, and she had a story for me every day on the bus about another interaction with administration at school and how it was all so frustrating and taking forever. And it was actually like halfway through the year in junior year that the club actually got instigated because it took so long. She also really loved Sherlock and Gotham and the show Community. She loved Community so much then when we had to write a 5,000-word research paper on a topic of our choice, she researched the question, can people on the autism spectrum benefit from an understanding of emotions but with identifying them with TV shows or movies, as exemplified by one of the characters in the show Community? And she ended up proving her thesis wrong. But it was really, really cool. It was a fun loophole that she managed to find for herself, watching one of her favorite TV shows for homework. The world was a wonderful place with her in it, and it sucks that she's not here anymore, but her family is still here, and so are the memories of her, and that makes everything a little brighter. Thank you.
My name is Manuel Oliver. I am Joaquin's dad. I am also Andrea's dad. And I am the husband of this beautiful lady next to me, Patricia. You heard them. If you know about what we have done so far, we decided that we're going to win this battle. And if you don't believe me, you should, because you know that I will. I've been trying to be very graphic during this year, just in case some people don't understand or don't believe me. I wanted this panel to be the way it is, so you can see how other people have been able to win battles in an old school, badass activation, or in modern social media awareness that will reach every single corner. I love both of them, and I like to be in that gray tone thing that you cannot expect what I'm doing next. That's what Change the Ref does, and that's exactly what we're going to keep on doing. And the reason that we do that is that Joaquin was exactly like that. Change the Ref is not other thing than the extension of our son Joaquin. Joaquin will make a point, have an argument, and trust me, he will convince you that he was right. He's somehow an activist, a very powerful activist. He was welcome to be a member of March for Our Lives, which make us now, and after that happened, not only sad parents of a kid that was shut down inside his school, but proud parents of an activist that is out there being very loud. We don't lose any opportunity to make a message. We don't hide from cameras. We love cameras because you are the ones that are able to send this message to other places, just like the cell phones. And anyone that is right here, please feel free to share everything you want. And when we get to the questions, ask whatever you want, because I will answer all your questions. What we're doing today is pretty amazing. It's beyond the wall that we have behind, and I want to explain you very briefly how these came together. Today is Valentine's Day, and they were expecting us to be sad at home. And we are sad but active here in New York, a city that Joaquin loved so much. We came to New York with Joaquin several times, probably his favorite city. And we decided to make a wall that will somehow relate Valentine's with the tragedy that happened a year ago in Parkland. So you're going to see that this graffiti wall that has been made in 5 days in a slowly, very on purpose way of putting it together, those hearts have been there for more than 4 days. The angel and Cupid on top, holding what you don't know yet, pointing at what you don't know yet. Here is the final piece. We are showing it today, and it's going to stay right there for a month. Under it, it says, Joaquin Oliver, rest in power. And I want to make sure that you all understand that those of us who knew Joaquin so well, we know that he's not in peace and quiet and still watching what's happening here. He has the power to make a change, and he's making sure that his mom, his sister, and his dad are able to send that message. But this is not enough. This is too local. This is just New York. So my beautiful daughter and my beautiful wife decided to send to all members in Congress and all members in Senate today, deliver it today while I'm talking here, this greeting Valentine's cards. You stole my heart. Bang! Next time you have a discussion about gun violence, don't forget my son's name, Joaquin Oliver. Joaquin Guac Oliver, rest in power. Deal with it, Mr. Congressman. You're in Senate. You have a bill already that was approved. It's going to reach you in Senate pretty soon. There's 100 of you. There's millions of us. What are you going to do? You're going to say no? You're going to vote no? Then we're going to have to vote you out. So we can have new members that vote yes. Because we decided that you need to vote yes. But that's not enough. So we decided that meanwhile, while we talk here, and this is maybe my favorite, and I learned it in London a couple of months ago when I saw what the new artists were doing as something to make an impact. It's not about the size of the painting. It's about the quantity that you have that message and how wide could that be spread. So we decided to print 8,000 stickers like this one. And we are, while I'm talking here, displaying these, and usually they do this undercover. I think I'm breaking the rules right now because I'm actually showing my face and telling you that if you see any of these stickers in your cities, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Miami, Boston, and I think a few more, it was us. All right? I want to be very clear that you know that it was us, and it's going to keep on being us. The good news for us is that we have more and more people every time we do things like this one, because people was waiting for something to happen, and now it's happening. And yes, the kids started it, and I'm so proud for Emma, Diego, and all the kids, what they did. And I agree with Patricia that I want to think that you are also our kids, but you're also my friends. We hang out together, so I don't want to have that role with you. But I do have a role with Joaquin that will never end. And before I finish, I want to let you know that I did lose Joaquin a year ago, but Joaquin didn't lose me or Patricia. And we are going to be fathers forever, and we have a role to play. We're willing to play it. We're willing to fight for your kids, because our kid is not here anymore. Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to show one of the work that we've been doing during this year. But in the interest of time, please see your press packet so you can get all of the details and see more about what we've been doing in the last 12 months. Here, for example, we are done 16 walls, not counting the one that you are about to
This is a tragedy, what we're living here, and it's a daily tragedy, okay? Well, since we started this press conference, probably 10 people have lost their lives, right? So time is very valuable here. And what I've been doing as an artist with this artivism, it's creating drama in a graphic way. I don't feel bad about that. I think I need to do that. I need to make people understand, doesn't matter how much it hurts, that we have a problem. It's like when you have a kid and he's ill, he has a flu or something, and you need to give him the medicine and he doesn't like it, he hates it, but you need to give it to him because it's going to save him later on. That is exactly what the wall is. And every single wall that we have done is pretty much disruptive and unpredictable, and some people will not appreciate that I'm hammering the face of my son that I don't have anymore on his graduation day that never happened, and showing him holding his certificate with blood that I made with red ink. Is that dramatic enough, or should I add more to that? So if you don't get it that way, well, I will find another way to do it, but I think that should be more than enough. That's why we do things like the one that you're going to see on that wall today. Yes.
Can someone talk about what's been accomplished that gives you a lot of hope? And I don't know, Manny, if you'd be the right person, or Michael or John, that you've seen in the last year, because different people have different kind of views on what has and hasn't happened.
Yeah, they are more qualified for that.
John, probably.
John?
It's so important to recognize that reducing gun violence isn't a theoretical issue, it's a political issue. I mean, if your goal is to reduce injuries and deaths from guns, you regulate manufacturing, gun owners, gun dealers, manufacturers, law enforcement, and you do what Massachusetts has proven to work without banning guns, and you dramatically reduce gun violence. But unfortunately, because the gun industry is so unregulated, Congress has chosen money. In the last year, it's changed dramatically, largely because the March for Our Lives student movement has put a mirror in front of us adults who are to blame for not holding Congress accountable ever. And they're saying to us, why is it that we have to grow up in a world where we're afraid to go to school? And this voice of the student movement, like the voice of the anti-war movement, the anti-nuclear movement, the women's suffrage movement, civil rights movement, can change laws. And what we have seen in the last year is Congress was changed. The House of Representatives was changed on the gun issue for the first time. And I think this March for Our Lives student movement has now become much more mainstream around the gun issue being a safe voting issue, because they have made it so, and they've registered people to vote, and we're finally getting our democracy back. And it's largely, I think, the tipping point was really Parkland, and everything that led up to it made it so. So that's really the big game changer, was Parkland, and the fact that these students were ready, unlike the 6 and 7-year-olds at Sandy Hook, and now we have strong leadership in a student movement.
And also, Katie, I think we talk about Congress a lot, but all politics is local. And last year, when all the kids went to Tallahassee, the legislature could not get out of town soon enough. The legislature in Florida is 2 months, and they could not get out. And they passed the red flag law, which I can tell you was never filed in the state of Florida, ever. Background checks have been filed, different things, and they actually passed that. And that bill wasn't anywhere near what we all wanted. But for the state of Florida, which when we talk about party, is totally controlled by the Republican Party and down in the Deep South, and the red flag law passed, is going through implementation now, has been enforced about, over 18 orders have been, and if people don't know what that is, that's a warning signs come up to counselors, to police officers, to school administrators, and you can have the police go out with an order and take not only the guns of the person who's under suspicion, but of their legal guardians in their homes. And the state of New York just passed that. So if you think about that, the state of Florida, because of the Parkland kids, passed it before the state of New York. And the legislature in Florida starts on March 5th. And I got a feeling a group of folks are going to be back up there again to try to get more. In fact, we have a giant bill that's going up there. And I think David talked today in his interview about over 15 to 20 state legislatures that have passed different types of bills. And that's where it starts, because those state reps and those state senators are going to be your future Congress.
What about the House bill? I mean, it doesn't look like it will pass in the Senate. Can you explain what that is and its chances? Sorry, that's the last question I'll ask.
You talking about H.R. 8?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Manny could talk. He was involved with that hearing this week.
I can talk about that. You're right. It probably won't pass in the Senate, but it will pass later because we choose the Senate. The next Senate, we're going to choose it. We have, and every time they ask me for a political question or anything involved with politicals, I bring back the social behavior. We have the final call in here, and we need to understand that. And I think it's not clear enough that we should. The kids are explaining it very well. Get up of your seat, go ahead and register, and then go and vote for the right person. Let me describe the right person. Anyone that is not receiving money from the gun lobby or the NRA, that is the right person. Because it's obvious that someone that has money from any of these groups won't vote for these to pass. It's obvious. I'm not saying something. I'm just wasting more and more time talking about this. So they should understand that their kids are also in risk. Thank God that we are here so we can keep their kids safer than what they did with our kids. They failed, we won't. So I don't know if my answer answers your question, but Senate is just a part of this social behavior problem. I do think that politicians cannot solve things by themselves. I'm going to give you a perfect example. I am not allowed to smoke in this room, am I? No, I'm not. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. No one will be okay with that. Why? Because we decided that it will be disgusting as a society. That was not a political call at all. So now we are deciding that anybody, in other words, in 30 years, they will be as disgusting in a social way as the tobacco industry is right now. So it's going to take a few years. Years are going faster these times because of social media and the way they want answers. Like right now, you download a video in 10 seconds, otherwise you don't watch it. So same thing happens with the answers from politicians. We need answers right away, right now. Yes?
¿Podría hablarnos de la importancia de ese mural que ustedes han diseñado y también si su esposa nos puede dar unas palabras sobre cómo recuerdan a su hijo, por favor, en español?
Okay, that's an emotional question, but we will answer it. They want us to explain in Spanish about the mural and how we feel and a few words about Joaquin. So I'm going to go ahead with the mural and you talk about Joaquin. Is that okay? Okay. El mural representa la trágica realidad que vive esta nación hoy en día. 100 personas van a morir hoy. Mientras que nosotros estamos conversando, 10 han perdido la vida. Ese mural es una representación de lo que sucede y de lo que se ha convertido el día de San Valentín. Tiene todos los elementos que lo asocian con lo que sucedió hace un año y la forma en que nuestro hijo dramáticamente perdió la vida, injustamente perdió la vida dentro de la escuela. Pero esto va mucho más allá de la escuela. Esto no solamente se queda en la escuela, no solamente se queda en Parkland, no solamente se queda en la Florida. Esto es un problema que le puede afectar a tus hijos, mientras que me haces esta pregunta, si tienes hijos. Y es bueno que lo entendamos de esa forma, porque cuando terminemos esta conversación, And I'm going to translate this part because it's interesting also for you to understand this. Cuando terminemos esta conversación, llama a tus hijos a ver si están bien. As soon as we finish this press conference, I'm going to ask you all to call your kids and make sure they're okay. Because when I called my kid, he was dead. That's how real this is. I know you don't like what I'm saying. That's fine. I'll take the risk. Go ahead and call your kids as soon as we finish this.
Hablemos de Joaquín. Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. Joaquín. Joaquín es un niño, sigue siendo un niño súper fuerte de carácter, un niño con una carisma increíble. Joaquín siempre fue un niño curioso, siempre quería leer las letras bajas, las letras pequeñas de las cajitas de McDonald's, y cuando seguía pequeño y no podía jugar los videojuegos, tenía a su hermana que le hiciera el juego por él y él poder aprender. O sea, siempre fue un niño curioso, siempre fue un niño que mostró querer conocer y saber más y más. Y eso lo fue llevando hasta adulto, pues, hasta cuando llegó a la edad que llegó, que tuvo la oportunidad. Es un niño que siempre estuvo al tanto de todo lo que estaba pasando a nivel mundial, un niño que le encantaba la música, pero no era un niño solamente que le encantaba la música que era la que estaba actualmente de moda, sino que era un niño interesado en saber qué era lo que escuchábamos nosotros cuando éramos pequeños o lo que escuchaba mi mamá cuando era pequeña. Entonces ese tipo de elementos que Joaquín llenaba su vida con cosas que no le pertenecían a su época, sino con otras, y el querer siempre estar empapado con lo que estaba pasando, y una gran muestra es de todo lo que él posteó durante todos estos años y los trabajos que conseguimos durante el tiempo relacionados con el gun control. Se hace a veces increíble pensar que de verdad que el destino como que puede estar de alguna manera presente, ¿no? A uno le cuesta entender que eso es una posibilidad en la vida, ¿no? Pero cuando te pones a ver todo lo que Joaquín dijo, comentaba, conversaba, compartía, y con el soporte físico de todo lo que dejó escrito, tú dices, wow, ese niño estaba preocupado por unos temas que de verdad uno no era que no los viera, pero uno nunca profundizó y nunca imaginó, yo como mamá, que Joaquín estaba tan metido y tan conectado con los problemas del país, como era en el caso específico el control de armas. O sea, a Joaquín le preocupaba muchísimo el background checks. Le preocupaba muchísimo qué pasaba con el control de AR-15 con el tema de Sandy Hook, que ya se estaba celebrando 5 años cuando él hizo el último post y todavía no habían solucionado el tema. Entonces, eso es un poco lo que te puedo describir sobre lo que era Joaquín, además de que era un niño brillante, súper malcriado, súper cariñoso, le encanta el deporte, un niño cómodo, un niño que de verdad disfrutó la vida al máximo y ayudó a muchos a encontrar esa parte de la vida que no la tenían, y Joaquín les regaló algo de ello.
What do you think about that? No. But I do. You can ask me. What message are you willing to send to people in Congress, and do you think if this campaign that you're doing is actually going to affect them so they can give us answers, right? Sí les va a afectar porque no tienen otra opción. Porque cuando alguien trabaja para ti, para el beneficio de los ciudadanos, y no hace lo que los ciudadanos merecen y exigen, pues esa persona será despedida de su cargo y será reemplazada por otra. So when you work for someone, like in this case, members of Congress are so, they don't get it. They work for us. How hard is that? I mean, right? It's pretty obvious. They show their faces on, yeah, we're working on this. No, dude, you're working for me. That's the reality. And I have an issue and I have a problem along with another millions behind us that have the same issue. Go ahead and fix it. So, tienen que hacer caso. They have to. I'm not concerned about them doing what we demand, not ask or beg for. We're demanding this to happen. So if you're smart enough, that you should be because you're a member of Congress, shame on you if you're not, do what you're asked to be done. Just fix everything that you should be fixing right now. Stop. Claro, si eres un miembro del Congreso y eres lo suficientemente inteligente que deberías serlo porque estás allí, haz lo que se te está pidiendo. Haz lo que los ciudadanos merecen. ¿Qué es lo que realmente importa? What is it that really matters? Salvar vidas, saving lives. That is exactly what matters. That's exactly what we are here for. Peter was able to save hundreds, if not thousands of lives because he decided to do that. And he's a proven reason why he's in this panel today. But you have to take the risk. You have to go for it. My first meeting with Peter was amazing because after we talked for a couple of minutes, he said, "Okay, Manny, who's willing to get arrested in here?" Huh? How cool is that? So it is happening.
Para completar esa idea, yo te digo que el trabajo es mutuo, ¿no? Ellos tienen que hacer su trabajo en el Congreso porque ya fueron electos, nosotros los elegimos. Ese es nuestro trabajo, pero también es nuestro trabajo hacerles un seguimiento y seguir votando. Enterarte por quién vas a votar, prepararte y hacerles saber a ellos, porque como son nuestros empleados, hacerles saber que nosotros estamos viendo qué es lo que estás haciendo y si no lo estás haciendo, pues vamos a pararnos aquí enfrente para que lo hagas. Porque nosotros somos demandantes, pero si nosotros todos como grupo, como sociedad, nosotros con nuestra población latina, que somos bastantes, alzamos nuestra voz y nos unimos y nos comprometemos, porque las cosas no caen del cielo, todo tiene su grado de sacrificio, todos tenemos que poner de nuestra parte, vamos a lograrlo. Pero esto no es viendo al otro que no lo hizo, no. Tú no lo hiciste tampoco, haz tu parte.
It's funny. I was invited to a hearing. I keep answering your question, but now I'm going to turn it into another one. I'm going to ask a question to myself, okay? What happened on that hearing? Oh, I can tell you what happened on that hearing. I was invited to a hearing. I'm supposed to hear. I'm supposed to listen, right? That's the whole point. So what does that mean? I need to hear stuff and be quiet because it's called a hearing? No, dude, you're insulting my son and other 40,000 victims because you're a member of Congress. You're not allowed to do that. And I have to stop you because before anything, I'm a father. Like any father. If you're a father, be responsible and go ahead and protect your kids. That's what you need to do. Well, I did the right thing to do. That's what we do. We are behind them. We're voting for them, or not for that one, for others. and we follow what they should be doing.
Speaking to the movement and getting the kids to vote and getting them registered to vote, what's been the feeling like on the ground, when you hand them that registration card, and they register? And does anyone know the numbers right now? Like, how many people have, how many new voters do you have now? Does anybody know the numbers? And just speaking to the movement of getting these young people to vote, tell me about that.
I'll start the answer, and if someone else has a better one, you can just grab the microphone from me. We voted for the first time, me and my wife. The feeling is great. Holding the first part of your question, like, yes, holding I'm registered to vote, I'm going to vote. Then you go and then you vote, and then you feel that at least you did something, right? You're part. You cannot complain if you're not part of the solution. So I can tell you about numbers. I don't have any numbers with me. I'm not a number person. I know there's a lot. And why do I know there's a lot? Because here's the thing. When you see 1 million people in Washington, D.C., marching for one same goal, all right? Unless you see another 1 million people marching for the opposite, which is not happening, by the way, then you would think, okay, this is totally polarized. But it's not polarized because 100 members of Senate are not able to make up their mind. It's totally not polarized. We know what we want. And we were in front of the NRA headquarters. They were celebrating Joaquin's birthday. How weird is that? but how effective it is too. That was the perfect place to celebrate Joaquin's birthday, yes, in front of the NRA headquarters. So when we were there, we had 1,500 people singing happy birthday to Joaquin. And we had probably between 30 or 40 protesters from the NRA screaming and shouting at us, holding very proudly, shouting at Andrea, my daughter, Joaquin's sister. She's probably a little taller than 5 feet, right? And this huge big guy holding an AR-15 was complaining about how Andrea was infringing his rights. So there's a lot. I don't have numbers with me. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot. And there's going to be more because these kids, the ones that were not able to register to vote, will be able next year. And that's more than a lot. So it's going to happen because of them. And wait, not only that. They are not only voting, they're becoming leaders. They're going to be, some of them are getting involved in what political activations are. They're going to be in Congress, they're going to be in Senate, they're going to be, so the future is beautiful for all your kids, not for mine. Is this a message? Numbers. Oh, they've got the numbers. Thank you. 47% increase in youth midterm turnout since 2014. Yeah. 31% of all young people turn out to vote, the highest rate in midterm election ever. I love having the numbers because otherwise it wouldn't be able to. 50,000 plus voters registered by March for Our Lives. Come on, hear it, yeah. 46 districts where young voters turn out to defeat the NRA's agenda. 50 new pieces of gun violence prevention legislation passed by states. 200 plus mayors who joined Mayors for Our Lives to help get 800,000 people registered on National Voter Registration Day. An all-time record. Those are the numbers.
Okay. So.
Yes.
So speaking of people making light of this situation, Louis C.K. recently made fun of the event, and you had a response to that went viral. How did that feel? Can you talk a little bit about that event and how that made you feel when you saw it, and what drove you to create that response?
Well, it's pretty much the same reason why I did the other one with the hearing. 2 different comedians, right? One makes more money making jokes. I was a father. I think we need to take opportunities, and instead of being offended, we need to, wow, now you're giving me a big chance to do something so people knows who you are and how wrong you are with your message. You're not only offending Joaquin, you're offending every single victim. And thank God that your kids are alive, Louis C.K., because I know he has 2 daughters. So go ahead, hug them, change your script. You can be funny without insulting neither activists or victims from Parkland or from any other place, and we can, and everything is cool with us. Actually, Louis C.K., now that you know that you made that mistake, are you willing to be part of the solution? You have an audience. You have followers. How about being part of the solution now? Let's be friends and have a stand-up together. Right? And we'll have fun, make jokes, and have some drinks, and we convince more people to do the right thing. So he can still do that. If you know, do you know him? All right.
Hello, my name is Jonathan. I was wondering, what do you think college students like myself should tell my peers about voting? Because many of them feel as if their votes don't count. They kind of like shrug it off as like, it doesn't matter, like I don't count, I'm just one person. What would you tell them in that situation?
That's a good one. I think that every vote counts. I like to think that. I know where you're coming from because I've heard what happened in states like mine in Florida. There's a whole messed up system that could certainly lose some votes, or they can do whatever they want at the end. But unless you go ahead and vote, you will not have the right to really go ahead and make your voice and make your point. Because what you're saying right now, you can only debate it after you went to vote. If you were to come with that question saying, you know what, I didn't vote because I don't believe in this system, should I vote next time? Well, yes, I think you should. And once you are part of that amount of people, a big amount of people that is really believing in democracy here, which we do, we believe in democracy here, we believe in the institutions in here, as long as you go ahead and vote and use your right to vote, then you will have a voice that other people will listen and follow what you really are demanding. So just go for it. You have the right to vote. You know, some countries, you don't even have the right to marry the person you love. Other countries, they don't even choose what they're going to eat. We can go ahead and vote and decide who's going to be our next leader. So we should certainly use that right.
Hi, good afternoon. First, I want to say that I'm sorry. And I say that I'm sorry because in 2010, my son, my 17-year-old son, was murdered. And we screamed, we begged, we really wanted change in America, and it didn't happen. And it's unfortunate that you all had to experience the same thing. But my question to you is, because I feel that you all are very empowering as survivors, as parents of gun violence. And I would like to know, how can other parents and other survivors really become engaged in the Change the Ref movement? I feel like survivors from across the country, that we really need to unite, because the power is in our voice. And I just wanted to let you know, I did see the hearing, and you both have a host of survivors from across the country who are supporting you and rooting for you. But how can we also be a part and work with you to make our voices even greater?
Well, thank you, and I'm sorry for your loss. I mean, we share that pain. You are already being part of this by being here, but here's with all my respect, and I mean, I want to give you an advice that has been working for us, that is making sure that the voice that we represent is our kids' voice. When we say that we want Joaquin to become an activist, we really mean it. It's not a slang that we're using. And imagine if we confront these people by saying, our daughters, our sons are activists, so don't feel sorry about me, dude. Just be afraid of me, because I have my daughter and my son behind me ready to win this fight. So we will make sure that all these victims, and there's a lot, by the way, there's a lot, are becoming activists. We're going to raise our voices, but we're going to really mean it. I don't want them, I know we're sad. We are very sad. And that's part of the game they play. Oh, my thoughts and prayers because you're sad. I'm so sorry for your loss. Okay, cool. Cut it out. Now let's move forward and find a solution. We can do that. We can turn our victims into activists, and that's going to make a big difference.
We have time for just one more question, and then just quickly, if everyone will follow Zoe, she's in the back here waving at us. Follow her downstairs. We're going to go to the wall, but just one last question before we go outside. A quick one.
Hi, I just want to thank you too. I'm also a survivor, and I've been advocating for laws to change since Sandy Hook, which is when I got involved. I didn't lose a child, though, and I know that that's very different. But I can say, being in this movement for a while, that the work that you're doing is so impactful, and I just really appreciate the creative edge that you bring to this pretty depressing and stale movement. And I think it really is getting a lot of people to wake up and pay attention, but that we have seen some positive changes, and so many that I can barely keep up anymore. But I'm pretty sure I recently read that Florida is trying to get an assault weapons ban on the ballot. Is that correct? Yes. How can we, as a New Yorker, help you get those signatures and get it on the ballot for the next election?
If you have any friends in Florida, tell them to sign the petition. Social media is a good platform for that. But yeah.
And the key is the signatures, because you can go through the legislature to get a I believe it's a 60% or 50, and we're not going to get that from the Florida legislature. But we had 13 amendments last year, 11 of them passed. So, and to force the NRA to go through a media campaign and spend that kind of money would be worth it. It will pass if it gets on the ballot. So the key is signatures. So I don't know if that's part of change the refs. But you get companies that go and get the signatures. But ballot initiatives in Florida are the hottest thing going down there. And yep. Well, think about that. State of Florida said convicted felons can vote. I live in Florida, or at least I think I did, because I don't seem to understand it anymore. So it's amazing.
Yeah, there's another question.
Okay, Manny wants to take another question.
I want to ask a question. I want to answer it.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Right. Nobody's been asking about corporate and what they should be doing.
What is corporate doing?
Thank you, Diego. That's a great question. I was able to be in an event 3 days ago, with the owner of Tom's Shoes, Blake. He decided to move forward and be part of the solution. Some of his colleagues, like owners of big corporations, thought that was a bad move and it would at some point will risk his business. And the answer was no. He's actually a very successful entrepreneur, owner of this amazing company that is only selling and selling more just by changing the message. And that wasn't the reason why he did that, by the way. He has 2 beautiful kids, and his wife demanded him to do something about what was going on. He said, yes, I have to do something like right now. So that is a new corporate in America. Diego, to answer your question, that is what we are going to see in the near future. Corporations will be part of this. They need to be part of this because otherwise they know that they could suffer the consequences of not following what the consumer really wants. Levi's, Dick's Sport Goods, yes, there's a few of them that already took that first step. And as every change, it requires those initial movements to then go ahead. And we won't have this conversation 15 years from today. We're just going to be happy for the great nation that we have. Before we leave the room, I need everybody to go ahead and send as many people as you can what you're doing today. Let them know why you're here. There's a lot of influencers in here that know a lot of people, like a lot of people. Okay?
I'm on it.
I know you are. I know you are. So,
Manny, could I just leave people with one really positive outlook?
Yes, go for it, because I'm trying to find one.
Just as far as the possible, if every state, and that's where it's going to happen until Congress has changed, but if every state simply did what one state has already done, urban Massachusetts, if every state had the same firearm fatality rate as one state of Massachusetts, 27,000 of the 39,700 lives would be saved in 1 year. This is doable, but it's going to take a movement at the local, state, and national level, and what could be more important than our public safety?
Thanks so much to everybody. Please start heading outside.